We head out there right now. Your associates are welcome. Even that triangle-faced monkey there.
Like, fuck you.
Like, man.
Did somebody say DT merch up in here? Well, Martin certainly did, and DT merch is where you go to get all of the shirts, the jerseys, the caps, the backpacks, the phone covers, and that's where you go to doubletoasted.com and subscribe to keep these shows going. And you can subscribe in many ways, but the way I recommend is that you use your Amazon account, combine it with the Amazon Pay button we have provided for you. Put that username in there, that password, press send. Ooh, wee toasty goodness on me. Starting on Saturday, June 30th, with the doors opening at 7 p.m. and the show starting at 8, we're going to have a live night of comedy, games, prizes, music, and one big party to end the night. All right, people, let's go ahead and get into it now. We know that Avengers Infinity War has now broken every box office record around the world. And people are saying this is the best movie ever. Ain't nothing ever gonna topple this. In fact, there are no more movies after Infinity War.
Yeah, y'all can stop now.
Yeah, just stop.
$830 million. That's not even out in Canada yet. I mean, not Canada, China.
Yeah, not out in China.
Canada. Okay, I got fucking Canada on my mind. Canada.
Man, once it hits Vancouver though, boy. Yeah, man. They say, man, don't even worry about movies after this. They're gonna keep making them, but you're just gonna be disappointed.
Why embarrass yourself?
Exactly, man. So that's why today, after
that Aquaman coming soon.
But DC, they gonna turn around. You see,
with James Wan.
When that wet man get up here, you gonna see. Nah, but since Infinity War is out there and scaring off all the movies, and just movies are gonna be disappointment after this. Well, now we got to go back. We got to go retrospective with this. And I thought this would be a cool thing to do because what I did today, Mr. Goodwin, I said, I was looking at some of the release dates from last year. And come this weekend, it'll be a year since this movie came out.
I see it within you. Fear, jealousy, betrayal. It is our duty to cleanse the universe of this weakness.
I said this movie is a matinee, which means that I enjoyed it. And Guardians of the Galaxy is what we're talking about. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. In this particular case here, I like this series, but I haven't loved it like a lot of people out there. Man, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was such a different flavor of movie for people out there, and they said, this is so different, but it's so good. I love this movie, man.
Yeah.
And I just didn't find myself loving it like other people.
That's fair. I really loved the first one. That's I think still in my top 5 or top 7. But yeah, this one I gave a matinee as well.
Yeah, same here. I like that first one so much more than I expected to. And I don't know if it's in my top 5, but I went and saw it in the theater at least twice and maybe 3 times. I was a big fan of it. Mm-hmm. With the second one, I felt quite a bit of disappointment.
Why did you feel that way?
Because it felt less like it was focused on the story and more about the jokes.
With Infinity War out, not War out, but Infinity War out in theaters right now, and it's a movie that, once that comes out, all these things are collective now.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
All these movies are starting to be enhanced by each other because some of these, you have loose ends from other movies that are wrapped up. Mm-hmm. You also have throwbacks to films. So I thought, well, maybe if I go back and watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, maybe Infinity War might enhance it. Mm-hmm. Because I'll see some things in there that were referenced in Infinity War, and I'll go back and understand it better when watching this movie. Right. Have better respect for it. Watching this made me think, like, all right, you know what? Marvel really did do not a good job, not an impressive job, a great job of bringing in all these different movies that feel so different from each other, almost like different genres, and making them work together. Because one of the things that I noticed about Guardians, to your statement right there of like it was more about the jokes. Out of every movie out there that they have made, I know you got Ant-Man and then you got
Doctor Strange.
Well, Doctor Strange. Well, I'm talking about Ant-Man because that's a comedy.
Okay.
And then
Thor Ragnarok.
And then you got Thor Ragnarok. which is a straight up comedy. You know, not even trying to hide it. So you got these movies that are comedies, and then you got some of the other movies that they got to fit in there that are dark and try to make all those things work together. But Guardians of the Galaxy 2, let me see here, make sure I got on the right thing. This is the one where it actually did feel more, not just like a comedy, but this is the one that felt more like a straight up cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, this is the one where this could have been almost animated with some of the things that they got
Basically
going on.
wasn't all that green screen.
I know.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And some of the things that they actually, even the cameos that they have in there, I love this character, but I thought, man, when I see that, that's one of the main things that made me think, can they make this movie work?
You're out of luck until you've gone duck.
You know, when you see Howard the Duck and you see them throw things in there like that, it's just like, man, this is something where it just feels so different to me from what Marvel has done. Now, as a standalone, I think that's one of the things that made me go back and say, you know something, that's why I don't love this movie as much, because maybe I felt like it is too different from all the other films. How you feel about that when you go back and think about it? Does it feel like the more cartoony of the most cartoonish out of all these movies?
I think Guardians Volume 2 was, I mean, outside of Thor Ragnarok, it was kind of cartoony in a different way. But with this one, this was the most outlandishly cartoony.
Yeah.
Especially with they were just, like Martin said, just cramming jokes in there a lot of the times. And they were repeating themselves a lot, too. That's what kind of got me with this. But I feel like this one was longer, or it felt so much longer.
It felt longer. Yeah.
It felt so much longer because they didn't seem to rein themselves in. Like with the first one, they're introducing these characters, they're telling a story, and it ends on a note. But with this one, it's like, all right, we're just going in all these directions, and even the way it ends, it doesn't feel like it's wrapped up as a film. I think, again, this is kudos to Marvel. In Infinity War, they found a great way to work in the comedy and the seriousness of the film. But in Guardians Volume 2, like, those are just two things where they kept clashing with each other, because you have, like, they're cracking jokes, but then he's like, I killed your mom, I gave your mother cancer. And you have Chris Pratt, who is like a talented comedic actor, but when it comes to drama, I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't really sell the drama of that. It's like, if you felt something, it's because you identify because of how the situation is, but not from what he did to sell it.
I'll say this about Chris Pratt. A lot of people are so upset with what he had done. And I'm not going to say it out loud. I mean, this is kind of a spoilery talk. But they're so upset with what he did in Infinity War. And they act like that came out of nowhere.
Oh, are they? Because I don't think it did. It was very true to character.
No, I was just talking about this with Devin when we came in. Chris Pratt has always been a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever since he got brought up into space, or Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Peter Quill.
Peter Quill. Yeah, you know, he's always been impulsive. He's always been a child. He's always had tantrums because he's never, you know, when he got brought up into space,
he was a child.
He's retarded almost.
His development was arrested at that
And
point.
he was raised by pirates.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He never had a right upbringing or education. And you can see that. Like, no one should be surprised that he was the one to ruin it for anybody, because he's always been impulsive. So in Infinity War, someone he loves dies, he loses his shit and ruins it for everybody. It's not too different from what he did in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when he finds out that his mother died.
What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Zero questions.
Yeah, no, Devin said, shit, nigga, at least ask why. Don't you want to know why?
That's the same thing he did, though, in Infinity War when he came up on Tony and
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You know, he's always been impulsive. So I looking at that, I said, you know something? Maybe I don't like what he did, and maybe I was rolling my eyes thinking like, oh, of course, this asshole would ruin it for everybody. But I realize now, like, that's a stronger scene if it's in context to what we've always seen with Peter Quill here. You know, I think it makes that moment a little stronger knowing that is his character. And then they have to stay true to that character. See, that's what I'm talking about. The writing is more consistent than we know. Parts of this movie, including that part right there where I'm thinking, yeah, that did make the movie a little better for me. You know, it's like going back and rediscovering something now that you've had your eyes open to something else. You know, and I think that's the power of a movie like Infinity War, where it's a movie that stands on its own and people going to see that. Let me say this. No, it's a movie that you can go see it, and you don't have to reference any of these other movies after you have seen them. You do have to watch 10 years worth of movies to really get the full impact. But is requiring you to go back and watch those films? No. But I think besides people going to see this movie over and over again, it's making people excited to go back and watch these other movies again. As far as what they did in the movie that works so well is, as far as Infinity War goes, I think that they were able to keep those characters just like we said. And it finally dawned on me why I didn't like it so much. Not that I didn't like it, why I didn't think it was. I was wondering how I would feel about the part when people like Rocket Raccoon, I say people, or creatures like Rocket Raccoon and Groot went down to Wakanda. Because I'm looking at this scene right here, and they kept the more comedic characters in their own groups.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about smart ass characters. I'm
Right.
talking about comedic characters, you know.
Well, they had the smart ass group with Tony and Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
and
but
Peter.
you got Rocket Raccoon and Groot and Thor, who, you know, he's comedy relief now. You know, he's pretty ass comedy relief, but he's comedy relief. And they kept those characters secluded and all to themselves so they could crack jokes and keep that kind of feeling going. That's why I was saying, like, you know, fortunately the action down on Wakanda was fast enough to where you didn't feel it. But I thought if they had slowed things down, maybe it would have felt a little weird having Rocket Raccoon interacting with Black Panther.
Yeah, I think that's I think you're right. That's definitely to the MCU's credit because they got to the part where it's like, all right, we don't have time to ask questions like, why is this raccoon talking? Or why is this tree doing this thing? It's like, we got to figure this out and what's going on here. So that was definitely a smart move because they didn't come in until like they were in the heat of the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, they kept it going. You know, and because you know, that they had that one interaction with Bucky, and I thought that was kind of funny. Do you think they can get really serious with any members of the Guardians besides Gamora? You know, like do you think they could get serious with Drac? Do you think they could get serious with Rocket and Groot?
I think they did it in Guardians Volume 1. When you had Nebula complain about being torn apart all the time by her dad, you had Rocket saying, I didn't want to be experimented on by these people, and they kept enhancing me. Like when they went to jail in Volume 1, you saw all the enhancements in him, and like he was in pain. So you're like, all right, they in the first one, not Volume 2, they did a good job of showing that these people can be vulnerable. And then even in Infinity War, when you had Rocket talking to Thor, it's it's like my dad died, my sister, I had to kill my sister, my brother's dead, and Rocket's like, yeah, I've gone through some things too, but
Yeah, because it was a perfect time for Rocket to be glib and make a joke about it, and he actually counsels him as Thor cries.
Thor kept referring to him as a rabbit, and then I finally realized like that's been everybody. He's obviously a raccoon, but nobody wants to call him a raccoon. Even when he's called a raccoon, they don't like it. But people are calling him all kind of things, trash pandas, even a god such as Ego, a living planet, can't even get his species right.
Let's say we head out there right now. Your associates are welcome. Even that triangle-faced monkey there.
Like, fuck you.
Like, man,
Well, that's the thing with Rocket, because people keep calling him a raccoon. He's like, I'm not a raccoon. I'm just from a planet of aliens that look like raccoons.
But when they finally call him a raccoon, he gets mad about it.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You know, that line that I thought was like, okay, whatever. You know, that was funnier knowing now, seeing that pattern that no one can get his species right. You know, one of the things I was talking about, and this was a criticism for me in the movie. I said that the romance between Gamora and Star-Lord in Infinity War, like when they actually kissed, made out, professed love, it was like, man, that kind of happened really quick. And even though it's hinted at in the movie, Guardians 2, you know, they had that moment where they're getting kind of close. It's romantic tension. It's not a full-blown romance. It's something that is just them flirting more with the idea of getting together. And they even in the movie they make fun of them. It's like a romantic comedy. You know, they got that famous line where when Peter Quill is actually discovered to like Gamora, not just like, but love her, want to have sex with her, has sex feelings for her, he gets made fun of for it.
Yeah, I guess, I feel a general unselfish love for just about everybody.
No, sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
You must be so embarrassed!
I cannot see that scene without thinking of Felix.
You are Drax, man. You a brown Drax. And see, even then, they made fun of them for it. They're still at that first half of a romantic comedy. They never got to that half where to me their romance got developed.
Where it paid off.
It just seemed like it seemed to happen because Star-Lord had to have feelings for her. And I said that in my review, and I feel even stronger now after seeing this. It's even a stronger complaint.
I guess so. It's just within Infinity War, they just seem like they are definitely a couple that they've been there for a while. And even when, when Thanos is like, oh, the boyfriend, he's not pulling that let's make a deal on him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we just friends. I'm single. Hey, everybody, I'm single.
Gamora, again, they did wonders with her in Infinity War, I think. Looking at her, because Gamora, look, I never, it's not that I didn't like her, but in Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, her thing is to like play off of Peter, their little flirtatious thing, and make fun of him and just be angry, and mostly angry at her sister. That's one of the things that was really going on in Guardians 2.
Now that was one of the things in Guardians 2.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, go ahead. Mark's looking at this
sorry.
like Mark's waiting for a top to fly off or something.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't want to talk over the clip.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's one of the things in Guardians 2 at the time when I saw it. I was like, well, I feel like this could have been handled better, or just dialogue-wise. It just seems so just written so pat and almost not sitcomish, but TV writing.
It was just you know why? Because she's just angry. That's it. There's no real. This story between her and her sister's happening so fast. There's no real substance behind her anger.
Right.
Development.
But then watching Infinity War to see where that goes, it makes me look back at this and go like, okay, that scene was actually one of the things from 2 that was important.
Groot, I thought they were using Groot a little bit too much, like his dancing thing at the beginning of the movie. He's just kind of like he's the plush toy they need to sell.
Yeah.
But then there are jokes that paid off in Infinity War, like when Thor needs an eye. Well, it just so happens that it was Groot that stole one.
That's Vorker's eye. He takes it out when he sleeps. Go, look again.
But leave the eye here.
That seemed like okay.
I don't think that's the same eye though.
Is it not the same?
Nah, because the one he had in Infinity War was brown and this one's blue.
It could change. It's funny because I look at things now, and it is a better movie for me to have something else, a bigger story there that it fits into. But I still have to take it as a standalone film, and it still feels like a matinee. When I watched it today, there was some really funny things in this movie, man.
Sure,
there was some hilarious things in this movie, but it was something like I see things here, and it's not as good as the first one still.
Yeah, it felt like, again, I think the perfect way to go from, one movie to go into its sequel, I think is the standard for me is Terminator, because you end up throwing more money at it, you end up, doing more things with it, and it's still that much more entertaining of a film. But with this one, it just seems like they threw more money at it, and we're just like, all right, you like this one joke in Guardians 1, we're going to do it 10 times in Guardians 2, and it's like, no, like with action, you can do that. With jokes, that like it gets repetitive and it gets trying, especially if somebody's a fan of the first one.
There's a lot of great artistic direction in here, man. There was that part where, what's his name, blue guy? Yondu, when he's going through the space station and they got that tracer, that red light going through people.
While they're falling?
Yeah, well, yeah, and they're playing the music. And that's another thing. I thought the music this time was real forced. Everything they had to do, they're like, hey, somebody got a Walkman around here?
Yeah, the music felt organic the first time. Like, it was really planned, and the second time, it felt forced. Yeah, and they were replaying songs.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like,
they kept playing that the Fisherman song that he was talking about.
Brandy.
Oh, Brandy.
Yeah, girl. Yeah. That one was kind of cool. At least it had a reason. But they were just.
But they wore it into the ground.
They did,
repeating the lyrics over and over.
They
it's
did.
Like, all right,
I get it. I'm like the scene. Your mom was like, shut up. God damn it.
But I know. But it was when they got to parts where they said they just stopped everything and they said, hey, we're about to go into an action scene. Anybody got any soundtrack? Some 80s soundtrack? They would really stop and say, hey, we need music. I'm like, all right, y'all kind of forcing that. I really like Ego better. because I forgot that he was a hoe. That he just went around. He just got all these kids out in the street. You know, I forgot that he was just fucking half the universe, and he had all these this spawn everywhere.
Yeah, and he was killing them all because he brought them back to the planet. They found all them bones in the.
Oh yeah, that's right, man.
Yeah, I think
he's a freak.
Of all the things, I mean, if you want to go back to the the art design of this one, I do think it was done better than the first one. I loved I forgot what the gold people were called, but Aisha's her throne room was really cool.
Yeah,
like I was like, all right, that's really neat. But I think the biggest thing to come out of Volume 2 that I think added for the better in the whole Guardians mythos, and then going into Infinity War, I think the relationship between Gamora and Nebula was really good, and them introducing Mantis. I think she was a little underutilized in Volume 2, but she was used really well in Infinity War.
In Volume 2, she comes out. It was a cool way to decide to interpret her, because before she was Vietnamese. I want to say she was a Vietnamese prostitute who was somehow in space. She was somebody's child. Yeah, it was some kind of weird thing like that. So how they interpreted her for the movie, I thought was great. Loved the costume, the look, and she was used, humorously. But in Infinity War, she was used effectively.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's what they did with a lot of things here. A lot of things that were just comedy. They either like kept the gag going and made it better, or they used characters better.
Yeah.
And man, you're right. That the gold people, I forgot how much I liked them, man, in the movie. It's one of those things where they were they were like those British asshole villains.
Yeah.
But what I like is like
that Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, right there. But where they let them be like real people, because you always see these movies where people are always like, yes, and you're like, I wonder what's like these people take a shit, and what these people look like when they just doing average things, and they started out as these just really regal asshole British type villains, and then they had those things where, like when they were sitting around when they were all trying to chase the Guardians, and they were
flying their drone ships.
They were all flying the drone ships, and they have that one dude that was left, and everybody was around him like a video game. And then when he lost, they were like, "Man, you suck, you trash." There's even one part where the dude says he's talking to the woman on there, Aisha, I think. And it was Taserface.
Yeah.
And he tells me, he's like, I just want you to let them know that Taserface sent them to that doom. And she's like, fucking stupid.
And then I think almost every scene with them was done well too, because the one where they went to that, and that was another piece of like extra shit that wasn't needed in this. That the older Guardians with Sylvester Stallone and then and Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, that was one of those things where it seemed like they teased Adam Warlock and had the original Guardians of the Galaxy in there. So it's like, all right, so you got to do something with them, and it's like
movie's done.
Well, the thing with Marvel is that things that they don't use, the kind of throwaway things, they might use later.
That's true. As we see with Infinity War, a lot of things that just seem like they seem inconsequential came back.
I do like it better than the first time I saw it. I enjoyed it a lot better than the first time I saw it. But it's just a higher matinee.
Okay. All right, you want 750? I give you like 775.
Yeah. And it's still something where it was a better movie not because I saw it again and changed my mind. I think I was refreshed on some jokes that I thought, okay, I forgot that they did that. That's funny. I'm enjoying this. But it's still, I think, relying on being a better movie for me, because there's a bigger movie out there that came out after this.
I'm sorry, in Volume 1 is like, all right, everything's efficient, and we're doing this, and this one is just like, we're just throwing extra, like it's bloat. A lot of Volume 2 feels like bloat, or like you said yesterday, empty calories.
Yeah. I'm glad you're trying to give me more, but I think you're giving us too much of what's not really needed there. Putting on that extra scoop of comedy is not necessary. I think they had a better, I think they had a better balance in the first one.
They definitely did.
Yeah, for me.
Because they had something to prove.
Yeah. So I am curious to see what they do with Volume 3, and it has made me more eager to see that than I did before. So there you go, people. Still a matinee, but a higher matinee, a better matinee.
Like Dumb and Dumber.
Except I took a whole year.
Yeah.